What's up, everyone? Welcome to Pat's Chat. I'm Doug Kyed, joined as always by Michael Hurley. Michael, for some reason, your mic clicks are very loud today.
Oh, my mouse clicks.
Your mouse clicks, yeah.
Sorry, I'll stop clicking. I was getting a little clicky there. I was watching video of Alex Cora getting thrown out. I'm sorry.
It's all right. He got thrown out, huh?
Yeah. You can't argue balls and strikes, even if your pitcher already did, I guess.
He wanted 2 days off in a row, 2 days straight.
He got him.
Good for him.
He got him. I want
Good
to
for him.
I want to start with I don't want to say a mea culpa because it's not a mea culpa, but I want to amend. We had a bit of a fight, you and I, about the win total last week, and you were 9 and I was 10.
Hmm.
I want to come back to 9.
Oh,
I want to
here
be
he
a 9 guy.
comes.
I bullied you in a
He's coming
10,
back down to earth.
and it's just we were drunk off the schedule release. You and I are huge schedule release guys. I just think the more I thought about it, there's going to be that game that maybe they should win that they don't. They're not gonna win all of the games they should win. 9 isn't optimistic, and I'm okay with it. I would like to, if you would please, hat in hand, accept my apologies. I want to be a 9 guy.
I will accept your apologies. Did you see our friend Taylor Kyles had them for 13 wins?
I did.
So at
I
least
did.
you didn't go 13 wins.
I mean, someone's got it. As the guy who went 10 last year, how could I look down upon anyone for their predictions? So someone's got to be it, and thankfully, it's not me right now.
Well, after today's OTAs, Christian Gonzalez is on pace for like 52 interceptions this season. So good for him. Drake Maye, though, unfortunately, on pace for like 200 interceptions. So
Hmm, that's
um,
tough.
those are the hot takes coming out of OTAs. I also somehow got a sunburn, if you can see it on my forehead.
Hmm,
Kind of red. Not a whole lot of sun today, but
no,
somehow still managed to get a sunburn.
as someone who lives in the state of Massachusetts, I can confirm the sun was not out today.
It
So
came
I'm
up
not
for like a
sure.
split second in Foxboro.
It shouldn't be enough to do as much damage as has been inflicted upon your face,
It's true.
but. Um, Maybe wear some eye black next time you're out there to at least draw it away from the rest of your face.
Maybe a hat. I know
Can I?
you weren't. Yeah,
We'll do the OTA thing, but I
yeah.
just mentioned eye black. It became a point of discussion recently with some people I was talking to, and we all just assumed it was probably like the fakest thing of all time. But
Hmm.
there's some scientific basis to it still. Like it does do a little bit of its intended purpose of drawing away. Now, granted, like if you're Tom Brady and you're just doing it, it's not doing much. But like in your
Hmm.
direct son playing baseball, it can actually help. How about that?
I can see it. I don't. I don't know. I wouldn't know the science behind it, but something about having some black underneath your
Yeah.
eyes feels like it should shield the sun. Um, yeah, I mean, it seems to make more sense in baseball than football. I think for football, it's more.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, kind
In
of
high
showing off a little bit.
school, the really tough guys would just have it all
The
over.
Chris Hovan.
You're like, oh man, that guy's tough because he's got all the paint.
Exactly. But
Anyways,
yeah,
OTAs.
OTAs. I know you weren't there, but are you concerned about Drake May?
Well, you tell me. I mean, it's practice,
Hmm.
but there's no way to just like sort of brush off 4 picks. That's like a jarring number of interceptions. Whether he just wasn't having a good day or whatever, you can describe in better detail. But I want to go through like because you were there,
Yeah.
so you have all the observations. I was not there. I've read plenty of observations and seen them. But as you go through yours, I want to do big deal, no big deal,
Hmm.
or care, don't care, which will be rooted sometimes. But I think we got to do it. I think that's what the listener wants. Do we care? Do we not care? And do we care about 4 picks? You got to care about 4 picks.
You got to care a little bit. And it was four in his first nine attempts.
Hmm. That's hard to do.
He cleaned things up over the last 7 or 8 attempts. No more interceptions after that. I would say that a couple of them were bad throws and a couple of them were like miscommunications. So this to me was more the offense as a whole struggling, but May struggling on top of that. Like
Hmm.
May struggling within a struggling offense
Hmm.
because I mean, Joshua Dobbs did not look exactly very precise out there on the field. Third string quarterback Ben Wooldridge also didn't look very precise, and it did lead me to ask myself, and I don't want to go back in the Joe Milton debate,
Oh.
because
No.
I still don't mind trading him for a 5th round pick. But like maybe somewhere along the way, they could have added a more competitive 3rd quarterback than Ben Wooldridge, either in the draft or in free agency, just because like you're 2 steps away from basically not having anyone out there at quarterback right now. And I know that there's a lot of time before the season. Guys will be cut, whatever. But it's just like, to me, Joshua Dobbs is not in the upper echelon of backup quarterbacks.
I agree with
And,
that.
and then to have a 3rd string quarterback who is not in the upper half, or he might not even be in the echelon of 3rd string quarterbacks. He might be a 4th string quarterback. So
Right.
it feels like there is a lack of depth on both levels, or a lack of top depth at both levels behind Drake Maye. And many people will still come out of this saying like, then why the hell do you trade Joe Milton? Maybe that winds up being a fair debate down the line. But right now I'm saying maybe you want someone a little bit more competitive right now than Ben Wooldridge.
Fair enough. Maybe Joe Milton is not in the top tier of
Right.
3rd string quarterbacks for that
Totally
matter.
possible.
So it might be a noted. I'll say noted, and we'll keep that in mind as camp goes on, because these guys all get reps. Like, they may not be important to the 2025 Patriots in the
Right.
grand scheme of things, but there's going to be a lot of reps this spring and this summer, and based on what you've already said, there might be some growing pains in the offense, and it might be a bit of a slow process. So you'd like it to be as efficient as possible. And ultimately, though, I'm not going to make too big of it, because if Drake Maye is out for any stretch of time, you're poop. You're pooped. You're in poop's domain.
Aaron Rodgers is available. Do you think they'd sign him as a 3rd string quarterback?
He would be an upper echelon 3rd quarterback, no doubt in my mind. He would be, I think, a top half backup quarterback, no doubt about it. So if he'd be willing to take it for the minimum, yeah.
I mean, I know that like Desmond Ritter hasn't been great. He's still out there available. I don't know. I mean, let's get through OTAs. Let's see how Ben Wooldridge progresses. But like, I don't know, having a undrafted free agent as your 3rd quarterback when Joshua Dobbs is your backup, we'll see how it goes. But the quarterback play was not very good on Tuesday here at OTAs. It was day 2 of OTAs. They're still learning a new offense. At the same time, the defense is learning a new defense. Defense didn't look so bad today.
I mean, that is the flip side of 4 picks on 9 throws. I just had we've done this before. I had to look up Ben Wooldridge's stats before I could mentally move on. 17 touchdowns, 6 picks last year for Ole Miss. No, for Louisiana. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not exciting. Yeah. How would you? All right. Dole out the reasons 4 balls were intercepted for me. You could have.
I'm gonna go poor throw, miscommunication.
So the defense just
Well,
was there.
no, I mean, one of them was a pass breakup that fell into a defender's arms, so that was a good play by the defense. Christian Gonzalez was just kind of there for both interceptions, but I don't know. I mean, Christian Gonzalez, I think, was obviously a star today. He did actually allow a big play to Javon Baker, though. So good sign for Javon Baker. Maybe not the greatest sign for Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was about as hot of a start for Christian Gonzalez as you could possibly imagine. And there was some pressure coming off the edge as well. I mean, I hate, yeah, it is still though OTAs. Like, whenever there's a sack in OTAs, I'm like, they literally can't block. Like, they cannot have contact with
It's
each other.
not. They're not playing football on the line,
Right.
really.
So I do struggle with the sacks a bit,
Yeah.
because it does seem to be a little bit more weighted towards the defense on that one. Because
Hmm.
like if you dodge the guy, there's not really anything he can do, because
Right.
he's not going to like punch you. He's not going to like shove you around. But like there was some pressure off the edges. I think May will be fine, but like you do have to, when you talk about 4 interceptions on 9 passes, you do also have to talk about the turnovers he had last year, and there was quite a few of them. So as the practices go along, you would like to see the turnovers decrease.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's also the element, Drake Maye, great teammate for both sides of the ball. Remember, clap it up for the defense
Oh
at the
yeah.
press conference. Perhaps he was, just inspiring the boys and getting them feeling good about themselves. He knew the world was watching, and he's just that much of a good teammate.
Ramondre Stevenson was not there. He's mourning the loss of his father. So Thoughts go to Ramondre Stevenson. Some other guys who weren't there: Stephon Diggs, who's dealing with an injury. Mac Hollins was in street clothes, so it seems like he's probably dealing with something. Michael Wenu and Morgan Moses both limited. Kyle Duggar looked limited out there, but overall, like pretty good attendance for a voluntary OTA session. So whatever Mike
Voluntary.
Vrabel said to these guys
Yeah.
got them to show up. I'll give him credit for that for sure.
Yeah, that was one of the more old school things Vrabel's put, and I wasn't again with you down there listening to Vrabel today, but it sounds as though he's not done playing grab ass
Right.
necessarily, but he's also not really mincing words. How many times does he get the "you guys have a job to do," which is basically saying the media is so useless, you guys are pathetic, but I'm nice. I'm going to be nice about it because I know
You
how it
guys are
works.
so annoying. Yeah, I asked him how many guys he expects to not be there because of injuries, and you could tell that like the natural reaction, he had to like still kind of like keep it inside of him to be like, why the hell are you asking me about injuries right now?
Right.
But at the same time, like I knew guys weren't going to be out there, and I kind of wanted to know which ones were injury based and which ones were just like, I ain't showing up for this based. Didn't
Right.
seem like there was a lot that were because yeah, it was Diggs, Hollins, Ramondre Stevenson, City So wasn't there. Got to imagine that's an injury. And Joshua Farmer also wasn't there. Got to imagine that was an injury. And guys who are limited, Jalen Polk, he was coming off the shoulder surgery last year, shoulder injury. Didn't like seeing Jared Wilson already being limited out there, but must be coming off some sort of injury. Michael Wenhill, Morgan Moses, Fadarian Lowe. Um, we did get kind of an initial look at the offensive line. Is that something that interests you at all?
Yeah, actually, because I saw someone tweet it out, and you know what my initial thought was?
What?
That could work. You know, that's not going to be the best in the league, but it's not going to be the worst in the league, and that is where you're starting from.
So right off the bat, this was only during walkthrough periods. It was Will Campbell at left tackle, Cole Strange at left guard, Garrett Bradbury at center, Michael Wenu at right guard, Morgan Moses at right tackle. Then things kind of shifted once they got into team stuff because of the guys who were limited. But yeah, I mean, I think you can work with that. I do wonder though, because I think that the injury to Wilson moved Wes Schweitzer to be the backup center. I wonder moving forward if we see Schweitzer get some more reps at left guard though as well.
Yeah.
But once again, like he's started games in the NFL, like it's workable. It's much more workable than last year when you had Vidarian Lowe at left tackle
Yep. It
and
was.
Demontre Jacobs at right tackle.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we maybe could have. Step two would have been how does the number 4 overall pick look?
Right. Yeah.
Fair enough. How did he look?
He looked good. He looked good in space. They had some screen passes that he was moving well out there. Once again, like it's really I don't like personally evaluating offensive line play that much during these sessions because like you can't really do that much. And then also there was 2 NFLPA reps out there, James Devlin and who someone thought was Don Davis. So 2 former Patriots out there. And it looked like there was at one point a conversation between Vrabel and Don Davis about like what kind of contact may or may not be allowed. So no one was really messing around out there when you had the 2 NFLPA reps out there to be like, we're going to tattle if you guys go too far on this.
Is that like hall monitors?
Kind of, yeah. So
Yeah.
it felt like.
Don Davis. Huh?
Yeah.
Who recognized Don Davis?
I think it was Keegan Stifle
Okay.
recognized him. So
That is some
impressive
recognition.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
James Devlin I recognized right away, but Don Davis not so much.
James Devlin. Talk about the most like this is a sidetrack. The Patriots in their dynasties, they had some superstars, they had some great players, but then there was just like guys that played like defensive end in the UFL or whatever, whatever minor league, and then becomes a beloved key member of multiple Super Bowl winning teams.
Yeah.
That is the most Patriot of all time of all Patriots.
He was a 3-time Super Bowl winner, right? Am I wrong in that?
Yes, because in 2014 he caught a pass in the Super Bowl, and in 2018 he was obviously the man. So I'm assuming he was on the field in 2016. I don't have the same memories of him, but the year he missed, they did not win the Super Bowl. I know that. So
He appeared on 10 plays on offense and 10 on special teams. The Patriots defeated the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 34-28 in overtime. So,
Yeah, not a lot of I formation when you're down 25 points. You got to kind of spread it out.
I'm going to say, like, James Devlin might be, he, like, obviously Patriots fans know James Devlin very well, but he might be one of the more obscure 3-time Super Bowl champion Patriots.
Sure.
At least of the
Even if,
second dynasty.
yeah, I mean, I probably would have gotten there without that because I remember the first and the last, but the middle I
Right.
have no recollection of, so it might have taken me a while. But the 2018 one, I mean, he was as important as anyone. I mean, Sony Michel ran for what, 400 something yards in those 3 games, more than that. So he was the lead blocker on that. That touchdown from above, just the blocking symphony that took place, and he was a part of it. So that has nothing to do with anything. But it's funny that a player whose job was to ram his head into other people is out there being like, guys, a little too physical out there.
Well, yeah, it was kind of funny to watch like these 3 former NFL players possibly be talking about like what is and isn't allowed out there, because it's like you kind of like, I don't know, and they're all like, yeah, like guys who would probably want to be in contact when they're on the field, but now like they have to worry about these other things from different angles, and they're on different sides, and like 3 men of the same ilk now battling.
Well, I guess the reason I asked about Will Campbell, as you specified, you can't just like how he just looked physically, because how he moves, how he just fits in, because that is, I mean, we kind of, once the draft happened, we all stopped doing the tackle or guard thing that we did because they made
tackle. Because he was he's the left tackle. He is that. No one else is playing that position right now. It's Will Campbell, and yeah, I mean, as long as all goes well throughout all of these OTA sessions and mini camp and training camp, he's going to be out there at left tackle in week 1. I do wonder, like, I guess if Belichick had drafted Will Campbell, he probably would have put him out there as a starting left tackle right away, right? Or would he have had to make him earn it? Would we see DeMontre Jacobs at left tackle before Will Campbell?
It's hard to say. I'm trying to think. I mean, we're going to like ancient history. If you go like Matt Light, we don't remember. Volmer, I don't remember Volmer. Yeah, Solder was probably the high. What was he, 15?
But he was blocked by Light at the time anyway, so yeah.
So maybe he was the right side. We also maybe didn't care as much because they've never had as big of a gaping hole at left tackle as they did last year. So it might not. We would have been like whatever. So yeah, he probably would have been the number 4 pick. I know everyone has to earn their spot, but I'm pretty sure he'd be in there regardless.
Yeah, probably. Otherwise, I thought it was interesting at one point because they split up into walkthroughs. So there was like the starting guys and the backup guys, basically. And like Layden Robinson, who obviously last year's coaching staff really wanted to play well and really had high hopes for. Drake Maye said some like very praiseworthy things about Layden Robinson after week 1. He was kind of in and out of the starting lineup. He was a guy who was working with like the backup crew, which I thought was notable. Whereas Kane Wallace was with the starting crew. Javon Baker was with the backup crew. So it was just like a little bit, those kind of splits you take a little bit of notice of. Like this one's as far down the roster as possible. But like Jaheim Bell, who was an actual draft pick last year, was with like the backup crew. Jack Westover, who was an undrafted free agent this last year, was with the starting crew. So just the little things that you notice right away that you're like, maybe that guy has a little bit of a leg up on the other guys in the roster competition. You would say,
Yeah. I mean, we kind of assumed that anyone from the previous, we say regime, but I mean, there's obviously a lot of carryover in the front office, but anyone from not this year is going to have maybe an uphill battle, especially if they aren't established,
Anthony Jennings was with the backup crew.
Yeah. And those guys basically have to impress the current staff. I think that's what it comes down to. And I guess now's the time to do it.
Yeah. And Jennings is an interesting player because like they want to be more of an attacking defense, and he's that edge setter on the defensive line on the edge. So he's that guy who sets the edge and contains against the run really well, but we'll see if that translates itself into a role in the Mike Vrabel defense. But yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest takeaways were Drake Maye related, but Travion Henderson, very fast guy. The speed is evident when you see him out there on the field. So I think that was a positive. Another thing, Efton Chisholm, the agility was evident when you see him out there. And he was a guy who was getting some reps with Drake Maye right away.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think I forgot who said it, but it was like, oh, it seems like he's on that like Demario Douglas path right away.
Well, let's not do that.
No, not to say that he's gonna be like he's gonna supplant Demario Douglas as a starter, but like we've talked about in 2023, like Demario Douglas was immediately out there with the starters, and we were like, what the hell's going on here?
I know. And like the first time we saw him, he would do something, and like every coach was like, pop, yeah, pop, yeah, pop. I was like, who? Like,
right.
You mentioned Chisholm. And maybe this happened after our podcast or I missed it. The absolute funniest thing last week we didn't talk about. Kendrick Bourne was asked about Chisholm.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, we got EC. That's what I call him. That's my nickname for him, EC. And it was like, whoa, what a nickname. That was funny.
Takes a lot to figure out that one. Could be EC3. EC3 is a little bit better.
EC3 is a lot better.
Right? Yeah.
It's a lot better.
I'll suggest that next week when we're out there. Yeah. I'll pull Kendrick Bourne aside and say, I'm going to workshop this a little bit with you.
If someone asks me,
EC not bad. How about EC3?
It's like that time you're out and like people are like, do you know Mike Hurley? And you're like, oh yeah, MH. I call him MH. I came up with it.
Yeah, but I mean, like the jokes write themselves about Efton Chisholm when he's like just cut from the exact mold as Wes Welker and Danny Amendola and I say less so Julian Edelman just because he was a bigger guy, played more Z wide receiver. But yeah, I mean, the jokes write themselves, but seems like there might be a path for a role for Efton Chisholm out there.
Yeah, certainly be interesting. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. Bad prep by me. The fullback they have seems like
the fullback is Brock Lampy.
Going to get a lot of attention in the summer, it feels like. Just one of those players.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to paint New Englanders with a broad brush, but the fact that they have a white running back, a white fullback, and a white wide receiver who are like UDFA darlings, it feels like those guys are going to become a big deal this summer.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone has a limit to it. Like Gunnar Olszewski was a fun story until it wasn't, right? Until
right.
He was like the number one option on a Thursday night game, and Brady was just like, what are we doing? Like there's a limit to how far I can go. But role players, James Devlin is a good example. Like I feel like people love a fullback.
Yep.
People love he's mustachioed, is he not?
Yes.
People love a mustachioed
fullback. Or is that Lan Larison who's mustachioed?
You're the expert. That's what I'm here just to ask questions. That's my role on Pat's chat tonight.
Lan Larison looked good at times, but he also had a drop. It's Lan Larison who has the curly hair and mustache. He's the running back. He's not the fullback. Yeah.
I'll be honest. This is a hand up. I didn't realize there was two of them. That's my bad.
There is two of them. There's Brock Lampy and then there's Lan Larison. But yeah, I mean, Lan Larison, like I said, he had a drop, but that was actually a good play by my guy Braden Swinson, the draft pick out of LSU, where Lan Larison caught the ball out of the backfield and then he kind of punched it out. And it was we were trying to figure out if it was a fumble or a incompletion. We called it an incompletion. But Braden Swinson, a couple of big plays out there. He had some pressure, had that punch out. So
was he?
That was my favorite draft pick.
Was he? Yeah, he was like your top like steal or whatever.
Yeah,
they phrased it. I've seen other people in that boat, so you're not alone.
No,
I think the more people look at his stats from last year, they're like, "Huh, it's an interesting one." So
his pass rush win rate was like pretty absurd last year, in like the top 5 or 3 or whatever it is in all of college football. So yeah, he could be like a really good designated pass rusher, or potentially has the potential for even more as like a starter or something. But like, yeah, he's a guy to watch for sure.
I'm a victim of my own curiosity sometimes, Doug. So I looked up Efton Chisholm's overall numbers last year because he had 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And so I want to see who he did the most damage against.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a sobering experiment. He had 173 yards and 3 touchdowns against Monmouth to start the season.
Yep.
He had 107 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Montana Grizzlies, who are a real team. He had 170 yards and a touchdown against UC Davis, 157 yards and a touchdown against Idaho State. And
I mean, to be fair, those are really the only teams that Eastern Washington plays.
I know, but
You know?
if you saw a random high-level opponent on there, maybe
He caught 11 passes against Nevada.
Okay, yeah,
That's an FBS school.
11 for 85, and then he ended the year with 119 yards and touchdown against Northern Arizona, the Lumberjacks, of course. So
Yeah.
well, there's a little bit, it is what it is. You play against who you play against, but it does provide.
Idaho's FBS too, right? So 7 catches, 114 yards. It's another FBS school.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know. It would be interesting to do this same. Listen, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be leading the Efton Chisholm bandwagon or hype train or anything like that because he's still a UDFA. But like if you did that same exercise with like Cooper Kupp during his final year at Eastern Washington, I would imagine it would probably be about the same.
We all did it with Josh Allen with his Wyoming opponents.
Right.
And whenever he faced a real school, he was awful.
Yeah.
And he turned out all right. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it is another piece of datum.
Josh Allen, I'm actually somewhat surprised that Josh Allen hasn't broken the brains of more NFL GMs who are just like, you don't have to be good in college to be a good quarterback, And like maybe we've seen some of that.
Zach Wilson, maybe.
I guess, but Zach Wilson during his final year at BYU was like 10 times better college quarterback than Josh Allen.
Yeah. 2020 was weird, so it's probably bad to base.
I think like Jalen Milroe is an okay example. Just the fact that like he went as high as he did. He didn't go in the first round though. And
Right.
You know what? Anthony Richardson is like the good comp. Yeah. He was not good in college, still wound up going very high. And so far has not gone as well as Josh Allen.
Potentially not good in the NFL unless he's playing Gerard Mayo's Patriots.
Right. But like last year's quarterback class, all those guys were good in college. This year, no one wanted any quarterbacks, but
true.
Yeah, I mean, like Cooper Kupp had 274 yards, but it was against UC Davis. You know what? I'm eating my words. 12 catches, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns against Washington State. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's why he got drafted and why Efton Chisholm didn't.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's the one difference. But yeah, no, I wasn't trying to poo-poo it. I'm always curious to see how such things. I mean, they played on a red field, which is another factor. It's hard to play defense on that thing.
It's definitely true. Some fun facts about after practice. Efton Chisholm and Kyle Williams spent a lot of time catching on the jugs machine, practicing different catches. Efton Chisholm was doing a lot of these catches, going like this. Kyle Williams was catching
over the shoulder for the audio.
Sorry, yeah. Kind of like the Jerry Rice type catch where the palms are up rather than out. And Kyle Williams was doing some one-handed catches. And then also Morgan Moses talking through some things with Will Campbell. And then after that, with DeMontre Jacobs, Caden Wallace, and Marcus Bryant, the other rookie offensive tackle. Morgan Moses just seems like the best guy in the world, basically.
Does he have the captaincy on his chest yet, or did they make him wait for that?
It's funny because, like, he should probably be a captain just based on everything that we've seen so far. But he was really also praising Garrett Bradbury and Wes Schweitzer for their veteran leadership. And also, like, everything you hear about Will Campbell, like, Will Campbell could be a captain too. So maybe just all their captains are going to be on the offensive line this year.
Cole Strange, offensive captain. No, I just the first time Morgan Moses spoke to the media a couple months ago, I was like, oh, captain.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sure.
Got it.
No, it's true. But no, it seems like leadership will not be a problem this year.
Did you have any takeaways from Vrabel other than what we've already talked about?
Not really. They're going to have joint practices. We already kind of knew that against the Commanders and the Vikings. But I don't know. It didn't feel like there was a lot of things that right after Vrabel spoke, you had to be like, oh, I got to write that up right away. Got to get
Mm,
out what Vrabel said.
yeah.
Did you have any?
No, just that general that he seems to have turned a little bit of a corner. Maybe because you're out there on the field and it's
Right.
work time. It's not
It's true.
strictly. It's not like a breakfast at the owners' meetings.
Right.
But it was very matter of fact and sort of. He feels like he's rolling downhill now. He's done all of his
Right.
nice glad handing and PR, and now he's at work.
You know what I found interesting? Um,
Yes.
is that this is very far down the list of interesting things. Ivan Fears still out there at practice. Like that made a lot of sense to me when Belichick was still the head coach. It made a lot of sense to me when Drake Maye was the head coach, but like that key card is just never getting turned off.
It's a lifetime pass to
Yeah.
Gillette Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good guy to have around.
It is. Absolutely.
There's 40 years of coaching in that
Yeah.
brain. So that is interesting. But I mean, it's not like it's a stranger as the head coach, you know? I'm sure he
No.
had
Yeah.
a decent relationship with Vrabel over the years.
No,
So,
for sure. But like at the same time, almost anyone who was tied to the previous regime has been kicked out the door. So
right.
that, you know,
But like if Ben Johnson was the head coach, would Ivan Fears be there? That's
right.
that's the question. Maybe.
Depends on that key card.
He's like, "Hey Ben, just so you know, I just kind of do my thing here.
I just hang out. Don't mind me. I'm going to be on the practice field. Do
I'm gonna
whatever you need to do.
grab me an uncrustable real quick. Thank you.
Remember when Steve Belichick was at practice last year?
No,
Yeah.
how did I
During
forget that one?
during spring practices, Steve Belichick was out there one day.
Was anyone else from Washington there or just him?
No, it's just him. He was like hanging out with Ivan Fears on
He
the
and Gerard were boys,
they
so
were, but things did not end
I know,
particularly well.
but you gotta maintain some relationships, right?
Do you have any thoughts on the Jordan Hudson news of the day? I didn't read the article. I was too busy.
The article was very much a Wikipedia of everything that has gone on, so maybe it. I think it was notable because when I saw Chad Graff tweet it out, I assumed it was an athletic story, but it was a New York Times story.
Right.
So I think it reached a whole lot of people. It entered that different realm of people that
Yeah.
had somehow not heard about it. So I think that was
Right.
largely the reason for it. I guess it implied that because Belichick was hosting young Ms. Hudson in the team hotel the night before home games in 2023, that is a reason they went 4-13. I would argue against that implication. I could give you 1,000 other reasons why they were 4-13, but I guess in terms of the Patriots, that was what was some. I guess she was around more than we knew at the time. But again,
Yeah, I had heard that she'd been around earlier than we all knew. Yeah.
yeah, and it's one of those things. What percentage of Belichick losing his focus on the team do you put in that? Low percent? I don't know. It
Right.
just
Because we don't know like who was in the hotel for the previous 20 years, you know?
right.
So
Nor did
it's
we
hard to
ever.
say.
Nor did we ever want to know.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah,
Um,
I didn't read it too closely. I was at the gym, if you
oh, wow.
might have noticed.
You can tell from the traps.
So I kind of, it was one of the scans. I mean, you had to click it. It probably
Yeah.
got a ton of hits. I know, like the wedding thing, but we've all heard that before too. Like it's just, uh,
Right.
it would be nice when it ends. If the story could just end.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But just kind of going through some other notes, some other
I um
players.
so this is a me thing, Doug. I'm
Yeah.
going through all sorts of things now. I decided I wanted to do some homework for the Patch Chat podcast
Oh,
because, like, I mean, what else am I doing?
yeah.
Second of all, I think it's a very good thing for the fans that the Patriots put out with Forged in Foxborough. Like, if you are a diehard fan of the Patriots, they just made you an hour and 15-minute episode of behind the scenes TV, right? They made Hard Knocks Patriots edition. So I watched the first half last night, and I meant to watch the second half today, but I forgot. So I had a couple notes, two notes on it. One
Can I
is
say something about it first? First
yes,
of all, is my Wi-Fi okay right now?
yeah, you've not glitched.
So I'd heard about Forge in Foxborough when it came out on Friday. I was admittedly too busy to watch it. So yesterday, I'm coming home from the gym. I'm like, you know what? I've got some time to kill. I'll throw on this 20-minute episode of Fortune Foxboro. Boy, the surprise that I had when I clicked on YouTube and it was an hour and 20 minutes. That's a
Yeah.
feature-length film. That is
Yes.
longer than Oliver and Company. That is a long, long. I watched the whole thing. It was very interesting. It was
Okay.
entertaining. But boy, oh boy, I did not think it was going to be that long.
It was helpful that it was clean so
Yeah.
that I could watch it with kids around because I'm
Sure.
never alone, obviously. And if they're just constantly dropping F-bombs, it would be a challenge. So very well edited in that regard.
Yes.
Much shorter than Nosferatu, which I watched today instead
Wow.
of the end of this movie. So my bad. But I think if you were to describe it,
Nosferatu, real quick. I watched that, but I was like in and out of sleep. And I don't know if there's a worse movie to be in and out of sleep for
than a
because, like,
movie that's literally about people in and out of sleep getting haunted by a vampire.
and you're like waking up being like, did what I remember? Was that a dream or was that Nosferatu? Like,
Yeah.
it was just like the absolute creepiest movie to be waking up to see and then falling back to sleep and then waking back up. So, but I apologize. Keep going.
Bad choice by you. Great movie,
Yeah.
great film. 11 out of 10. If I were to describe Forged and Foxborough in 2 words, correct me if I'm wrong, Vrabel porn is what it was.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Not really. I didn't gain much info or much that we didn't know. I know his speech to the team kind of got leaked online
Right.
earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of B-roll, a lot of footage, a lot of praise. So a lot of Vrabel porn. And I thought the most interesting thing, and maybe we knew this part too, but Lawyer Malloy, first of all, Lawyer Malloy sitting down for an interview for Forged and Foxborough, caught me by surprise. He described Vrabel as a chameleon in the locker room.
Right. Yeah.
And basically said he could play dominoes with one. He basically said he got along with the black guys and the super white guys.
Right.
It's like in the simple, like he could sit down and play dominoes with us, and he could go put on a cowboy hat and listen to country music with whoever. And I think we kind of knew that about Vrabel, but it was just a little more. And that's from a guy that, you know, wasn't teammates with him for a very long time and still had that lasting memory of him.
I did think there was an element that was a little bit funny. I'm not sure if you got to this, but like, so I love all of my colleagues in the media, the papers, TV, online, Patriots.com, all of those. And Mike Dussault is one of those guys. Love him. Great guy. Awesome. I like the element of like, let's have our, like, the Patriots.com guy on talk about how great Mike Vrabel is like a little bit funny. Like it's like, obviously that's where it gets like, I'm not saying it's like propaganda because like Mike Vrabel is awesome. Like it's a great hire and I'm sure he's gonna be a great head coach, but like it, when it's like someone who works for Patriots.com saying it's like, well, yeah, of course you're going to say that, you know, but yeah, I don't know. That was funny to me.
Didn't he used to run Pat's propaganda? Like it's not even it's not like an insult. It was like sort of like the trademark. So
right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
but now he's getting paid more to do it. So good for him, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it is.
But like they had Karen on, but like when it's someone who doesn't work for the Patriots, like, I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. It was fine. I think if you're thirsty for content,
for sure.
it filled a need, but it wasn't like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a behind the scenes show like that where you watch it and you're like shocked or stunned or staggered. Right. There's nothing like that, but I think it filled the need. Maybe I'll finish it before next week's episode.
Did you watch it through the draft?
No, I got through like the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl. Okay. They were looking at Kyle Williams. And then around there, I got.
So one thing I found interesting was they're sitting there at 85, and you're in the war room, and they're saying like, "All right, do we trade this or do we take the offensive lineman?" And then they decide to trade it, and then they trade down to 95, and then there seems to be like an actual debate, like, "All right, who should we take here?" And then like one of the scouts is saying like, take Jared Wilson. He's the center out of Georgia. To me, like maybe Jared Wilson was the guy at 85, but like if he was the guy they were considering at 85, I think they just like turned the card in without any discussion whatsoever. And they're like, Jared Wilson, he's our guy. So it did feel like they were considering a different offensive lineman at 85 than the guy that they took at 95.
And the draft was not even a month ago. So.
Wyatt Milam and Emory Jones. So Wyatt Milam was a left tackle out of West Virginia. Emory Jones was Will Campbell's right tackle. So
Okay.
either one would have made sense for them to take there. All in all, like drafting a center at that spot, I certainly don't hate. But like if they had taken a offensive tackle at 85, that also would have been a cool move by them.
Okay. And the guy I was thinking of, was it Jonas Savainaya?
That
That
was
went to
earlier.
the.
That was
Okay.
like early second round. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I got kind of
Right.
sidetracked. But so you're saying at 85 there was no debate, and then somehow at 95 there was debate?
Yeah, like at 85 was like, okay, are we trading this pick or are we taking the offensive lineman?
Hmm.
And then at 95, they're like, all right, do we take Jared Wilson? Are we sure about this? So like to me, that means that if he was the guy they were taking 85, he would have also been the guy they were taking at
Yeah.
95. And there
Right.
seemed to be a little bit of conversation there.
Okay. And if
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you just said this, Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant went 4 or 5 picks later, so I don't know if those were other guys in the mix.
Maybe, yeah, certainly possible. Yeah. Yeah.
6'5", 310-pound Caleb Rogers
Right.
strikes me as a tackle, but who knows?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, no, that'll be good. I'll finish. I'll watch the draft.
How
Shame
do we
on
know
me.
how many of these there are going to be?
No idea.
Do we know if they're weekly, bi-weekly, monthly?
I'll look it up. I know one thing about it, and that it's forged in Foxboro. So,
Yes.
episode 1, we need some information. We need some actual information.
Yeah. When's episode 2 dropping?
Episode 2 release date.
Yeah. We're just
There's-
Googling over here.
Yeah, there's. I don't know.
Because like I
Stay
can't imagine
tuned.
I can't imagine this could be a weekly thing if they're an hour and 20 minutes, you know?
Just the amount of editing that goes in, I don't think they
Right.
could pump those out week. Like they don't have the NFL films crew that does Hard Knocks
True.
doing this. So,
Yeah.
though I did see today there were the super cameras out in the field at OTAs, so they're still cooking.
They're still cooking. Kickers, Andres Borregales did better than Parker Romo. I think you kind of hoped that would be the case, though.
Yeah.
That was the case. But yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, there's going to be more takeaways after more weeks of OTAs, but I'll continue to monitor guys who are in the backup crew, guys in the starting crew. Marte Mapu was in the backup crew. So, like,
And
a lot of these guys who were drafted by Bill Belichick are favorites of Drake Maye, as we went through in our last podcast, not necessarily locks now for the roster in 2025.
and you can refresh everyone else's memory, because I certainly remember exactly what Vrabel said when asked about that, and he kind of wanted to say you're going to make a big deal out of where I put guys, but the key is to get 11 guys on the field every play.
He said it's going to be fluid. So, like, yeah, you don't want to make too big of a deal out of those things, but like you would think that if Marte Mapu is going to be a starting safety this year, he's not going to be out there with the backup crew. He's not going to be facing Joshua Dobbs out in practice. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But things can change. I guess that's the point.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Keon White had a pretty good practice out there, but you know what? I'm still on the don't really care what he does this summer. I want to see it during the regular season with Keon White. And
Well, he also
and even if-
famously,
yeah,
he doesn't get the whole concept of no pad practice.
right.
From what I remember, he was
True.
just sort of like full go, and it was like, dude, no one has pads on.
Yeah, no, it's true. Craig Woodson got his hand on a pass. Jalen Hawkins was active out there. So I don't know. I think the defense will probably be pretty good, although we were saying the same thing last year and they were
Not
dog crap.
was
But yeah, overall, fun day. I like being out there watching practice.
was
Wish we
Terrell
got
Williams
more of
there?
it. No,
So he's still not there.
still not there. Still seemingly in Detroit. Situation to monitor. But yeah, Zach Kerr, their inside linebackers coach, out there running the show. And Mike Vrabel just kind of like bouncing around. He was out there with a penny on. No one loves playing on the scout team, seemingly more than Mike Vrabel. No one. In the history of the world, because that's what Bill Belichick always used to say about him, is that like, he would run out there at safety. He was always wanting to play on the scout team. And like, now the guy's an NFL head coach and he's still just dying to be on the scout team.
Yeah, that was a weird part of the Forged in Foxborough when he had Caden, I assume Caden Wallace. I don't know if they have another player named Caden come out. I didn't get the message. I didn't get the exercise where he pushed him a little, but I think he just wanted to push a young man, a young strong man, and
just wanted to get out there.
like some people might talk to a therapist to work through their feelings. I think Vrabel just puts the penny on and plays football against guys half his age, and that is how he just copes with life. And God bless him.
Do you think if Mike Vrabel played 40 snaps week 1, he'd get a sack?
No. Because I remember in 08, he had lost a step. Like where you used to see him come around the edge and hit the quarterback, he was getting there late. So I'm guessing in 2025, he might have lost the second step by now. But I'm more concerned, like legitimately, what if he gets out there and he's doing, all right, hit me really hard, 23-year-old muscle man, and he like steps back and breaks his ankle or like pops an Achilles or something, and then he's just like wheelchair bound. We should talk to him. You've got to peel it back a little.
Do you remember when Matt Patricia was on the golf cart?
And the scooter, was he on a one-legged scooter at one point too?
Yeah.
I'm a one-legged scooter survivor myself. Those things suck.
I hope to never be a one-wheel or a one-leg scooter.
Do you know how I ended up on one?
I did something stupid to your foot, right?
Real stupid. I was cooking pasta, which is a very dangerous thing to do. This was in November of 23. And I went to put it back on the counter, this glass cylinder, and it just shattered, went straight down on my foot, severed the tendon to my big toe. And a week later, I had surgery, and I couldn't walk for a month and a half.
Definitely not ideal.
I actually missed Bill Belichick's final game. I couldn't cover it because I was in a walking boot, and I could barely walk, and it was a snowstorm, and I'm like, this is nuts. I just can't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are not. That's not a great situation to be in. I'm going to knock on wood. I've avoided major injuries for most of my life. There were 2 summers in a row when I was in college when one summer, like possibly broke a bone in my foot because I couldn't really walk for the rest of the summer. And that was pretty early on. And then the next summer I was playing rec basketball and I sprained my ankle pretty bad. But other than that, I've been pretty good.
Yeah, I can't relate. I've played men's league baseball my whole adult life, and I've injured everything. If you can name it, I've injured it. So I've calmed down a little lately, so that's a good thing.
I felt a pop when I hurt my ankle. Is that high ankle sprain? Is that just an ankle sprain?
I'm not sure, but I tore my calf once, which.
Oh yeah, you felt like you got shot, or you thought that someone like hit you with a baseball, right?
I thought someone threw a ball off the back of my calf, and I was pissed. Yeah. And then I realized that no one had done that, and that I was actually not an athlete trying to play sports. So you got to be careful.
Throwing wild accusations at people.
Second, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry about that. But the calf was the worst because it's just this. There's 2 muscles in there. I think. Right. I'm not a doctor. Whichever one, it's just such a little dinky, tiny muscle that it's just like it can't repair itself the way a hamstring can. It sucked.
Absolutely. All right. I think we've covered OTAs pretty well. Just kind of seeing if there's any other, I don't know, Kyle Williams, he was heavily involved, maybe didn't have like the greatest practice in the world, but yeah, I mean, Christian Gonzalez going out there, being a stud, that was good. Drake Maye, you want to see him settle down moving forward, not ready to panic yet, but obviously turnovers were a bit of an issue for him last year.
You briefly mentioned it. When does you and your working media brethren and sisters get to see them again?
Next Wednesday, not tomorrow. Because Monday is Memorial Day. I'm assuming they're back on the field on Tuesday, and then we get to see them on Wednesday. But it's tough these weeks because it's like, you're like, oh man, things are starting, it's practice, but then you only go once a week. And then you're like, well, what do I do the rest of the week? You know?
And everything you do, you have to temper with like, it's only one practice in May.
Practice yesterday. Maybe things went better yesterday. But no, I would say one of my takeaways was that like I'm a little bit concerned about the backup quarterback situation.
Okay.
Which, you know what? We'll see how it goes moving forward. But I think we kind of knew, like, at this point, everyone kind of knows who Joshua Dobbs is, right?
Yeah, what I've been consistent about, even in this very podcast, is like Joe Milton probably doesn't change that.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
I just don't want to be a Joe Milton podcast. That's all.
I did have a few other things I want to talk about. I mentioned last week that I was chaperoning a field trip. Now, I went on field trips because I am a person who went to public schools in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went on field trips, I remember the entire class staying together and moving throughout the field trip all in one group. I might be misremembering. This was a number of years ago. As we've stated multiple times, we graduated high school in 2004. That was 20 something years ago now at this
Class
point.
of 2000, baby, 8th grade graduation.
And so I'm not saying that anything was wrong with the way that field trips are handled today, but when I was preparing for the field trip the night before, I was told that I was going to be in charge of 5 children, including my own child, Olivia Kyed, and that I would have to carry their lunches. I was like, that's fine. I can watch 5 kids. Once we got there, the teacher said, all right, let's meet back at 12:45 at the playground, 1:15 for the buses. And it was then that I realized that I was solely in charge of 5 children, that we were not moving station to station as a group, and that I would also be responsible for teaching 5 children at the Ecotarium in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Managing emotions of 5 kids, bathroom breaks. I want to go here. I want to go there.
Hey, I want to carry my water. Oops, I don't know where my water went. Hey, I'm thirsty. I don't know, man. Sorry. You're the one who asked to carry your water. You lost it. Everyone else is in my bag, including my own. Right. I'm not going to make you drink from the same water bottle as me. So we'll find a water fountain. But beyond that, might just have to go thirsty. But overall, good group. I might have taught them one thing. At the most nerve-wracking part was when we got to the playground, because then there's like 100 kids running around, more than that, probably 120, 150. And it's like a big space, but you still have to monitor your 5 kids.
Right.
And like, you don't have 5 eyes at that point.
They're breaking up at that point.
Yeah, no, they're not all in a group. They're not all running together.
So I did that at the Children's Museum in Boston, and I think I had 4. Maybe it was 5, but it might have been 4. And at a certain point, I just sort of went with the vibe, and like maybe 2 kids weren't with me, but I knew they'd find each other. Like they're not going to leave the museum, and it wasn't too busy. But then I went to this year Harvard has like a natural history museum, and there were emotions and crying. I want to be in this room. I want to go in that room. They did birthstones.
There's a lot of managing preferences for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like that museum is tough. There's a lot of, and I'm just like, you know what? Everyone's gonna be all right. We're gonna. I just didn't worry about it that much, and it turned out okay. That was the key.
Yeah. Hey, there was no injuries, which was huge. Whole group stayed together. They kind of watched over themselves. I felt like we were like a pack of animals at some point. We're like, sure, I'm the alpha, but everyone else just kind of like watches themselves enough to be like, hey, where's so-and-so? And they're like, oh, there he is. You know, and I'm like, all right, good job.
Picturing you on the bus. All right, kids, I'm the alpha.
But yeah, it was good. I'd do it again, but I'm glad that now the next time I'll go in with the correct expectations for chaperoning a field trip.
I remember in like 7th grade, we went to the Museum of Science and we had small groups and we broke off and did like a scavenger hunt or whatever. But your daughter's in like 2nd grade, right?
Yeah.
2nd grade field trips, we were definitely all together. I don't think there was freedom.
Yeah, it was. I'll also say, shout out Worcester Ecotarium, cool place. Maybe not fully enough to do for a 3-hour span of time.
Wow. Shots fired.
Because like there's animals there, which are cool. But like if one person only wants to look at an animal for 15 seconds, then you got to move on to the next animal. Right. And then that one might only be worthy of 15 seconds of looking. And I'm sitting there being like, no, let's try to find the spider. And then everyone's like, no, like screw this spider. I don't care.
I'm really good at pointing at the animals and be like, look, reading the sign to that thing. So you got to be able to just buy time. That's life. That's life in the big zoo.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, that was fun. Another thing, we have a comment here, Dynasty Mode pod, Per in the Park tomorrow night. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. The Worcester Red Sox are hosting Per at the Park tomorrow.
Let me guess. Bring your cat?
You're supposed to bring your cat to a
Because
baseball
the
game.
dogs ones are
Bark
popular.
at the park?
Cat doesn't strike me as a ballpark friend. One and the biggest thing I would say, typically, I mean, I'm sure they're out there, and I'm sure it's a rule. You don't see many leashed cats.
So here's what part of the park is. If you're a dad and you were like, I don't want this cat. Why do we have this cat around? Like this cat's just like smelling up the house and tearing up the furniture. This is what you do. I want to bond with a cat. I'm gonna bring him to the baseball game.
Oh
We're gonna watch baseball
no!
together. We're gonna have dollar burgers. We're gonna have some popcorn. Oh no, the cat ran off. Well, guess we don't have a cat anymore. Cause like Pert the Park seems like a really great way to lose your cat
Oh
and to never see your cat
no!
again.
I really
Right?
love that cat.
Oh no, I was trying to bond with him. I thought we had a
Ah,
connection. Oh no. All right. Well, he's in center field now.
all right. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm curious to see how that plays out because I'm not here to poo-poo anyone's fun. That seems like a terrible idea.
I agree. And I mean, like, I would love to watch a Worcester Red Sox game with my cat. I love my cat. I think he likes guy stuff. He's a man's man.
Do
Whenever
you
there's
have a
like
cat leash?
I do. Whenever there's a plumber over, he always wants to see what's going on. He wants to help plumb. Whenever there's an electrician, he wants to help out that guy too. So I think he'd like a baseball game. He has a leash. What's
Hmm.
it called? A harness,
Okay.
but like he hates it. So we haven't made him wear it for 8 years.
Yeah.
Um,
I've never had a cat.
and like the other thing too is that like cats are not dogs. I don't know if you know this about them, but
Yes.
like dogs' bodies are firm. They're like if a leash is on them, if a collar's on them, it's not going anywhere. If there's a harness on a dog, it's not going anywhere. Cats are like squirmy and squishy and their heads are kind of small. Like those things aren't guaranteed to stay on.
Right.
So that's my fear whenever we've tried to have my cat on the harness is that like, oh, he can easily get out of this thing. And then we just don't have a cat anymore. So
Yeah.
once again, great way to lose a cat.
Yeah. I'm sure if you're a cat owner, you have to own one of those just in case. But
Right.
I don't know that I've ever seen a cat on a leash.
Right. Like I live in a neighborhood. Could probably count 50 dogs that are on walks every day. Do you know how many
Right.
cats I see on walks?
I've seen
No
cats
cats.
roam. I used to have like an outdoor cat. The cat
For
would
sure.
go out and that would be a great cat to bring to purr in the park
It's true.
because that cat could survive for decades
I
out in
used
the
to have
wild.
outdoor cats. We don't trust Rombie to go outside by himself, but we've actually had a cat, a neighborhood cat, coming into our yard a lot because we have a lot of bunnies in our yard. So I think he's
Mm.
trying to sniff out the bunnies. But
Oof. I had a dead baby bunny in my yard, and I
oh,
was
that's
like,
awful.
damn.
That's really
And then
awful.
I didn't anymore. So I'm like, either I was wrong and it was napping, or
True.
nature took it over. But the good news is I didn't have to touch it.
That is good. I don't like doing that.
No.
My cat, great at catching mice. He got one the other day. I don't like it when he does that though, because then I have to clean it up.
Yes.
But I do like it when he does it because that means there's one less mouse in my house.
Right. Another Nosferatu reference. The rats were
Mhm.
much scarier than the vampire, I would say.
I'm not a fan of rodents. I would take 1,000 insects in my house over 5 mice.
Yeah. Yeah. Insects, whatever. They don't really bother me.
Even
We
a
had
spider, I'm not bothered by. Bees, I'm not bothered by. Mosquitoes suck, but beyond that, yeah.
yeah, I sometimes I romanticize my previous house, even though it was a piece of garbage, because it cost a lot less to live in it.
Hmm.
But one time, and this is a good example of it being a piece of crap, a squirrel nested in my closet from the
Oh,
outside. So it like clawed in through the gutter
yeah.
and had a baby in my closet in the wall, like under the eave or whatever. And the way I learned that was the people came for a lot of money and they built like the one-way door.
Yeah.
So the mother left to go get food to go feed the baby and then couldn't get back in. So
That's
they're like,
rough.
you'll notice it if it's out there. And so I'm in my kitchen and I just hear like panicked screaming from a
Oh
squirrel
God.
because it
Jesus.
can't feed its baby. And so they had to come back,
Oh.
open the door, get rid of the door until the baby was ready to move out. And it was just like, okay, but this is in my bedroom closet.
Right.
Like this is, and so every night you'd hear like,
Oh,
and I was like, this is sweet. I love having a squirrel in my house.
You had a squirrel. How many people can say that?
Probably a lot, but
Yeah, that's true.
not in their bedroom closet. We got another comment about the All American Rejects House Party tour. Did you see that?
I did. I was never much of an All American Rejects guy.
Right. They were more pop, straight pop, I would
Yeah.
say, not a real
Yeah.
band. But
It's a fair question to ask us, but yeah.
I did see a clip of them performing in someone's backyard, like in front of their shed. Um, and it does bring me to I played some drums today,
Oh,
and I was really good. So I'm here to say this might be my last podcast because I might
wow.
start up a punk rock band. I
Going
think
pro?
a bunch of near 40-year-olds
Mm-hmm.
starting. So if you're welcome to join too, if you'd like
Yeah,
to leave
sure.
your profession.
I
Do you
play
ever
guitar.
have
I play bass.
you ever have one of those days where you play your instrument and you're like, I'm pretty good? Because I have not many, but today was one.
Yeah, but it's only if I play guitar like 20 days in a row. And by the 20th day, I'm like, hey, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah,
Because like every time I pick it up for the first time, I'm like, God damn it, I suck again.
yeah.
But beyond that, yeah. Oh, speaking of music, we got an angry comment on Spotify of someone calling me I think he wanted to, I think he tried to say wannabe hardo, but he said a wannabe hairdo.
Which is better.
Uh, about my music taste. Listen, I don't have accessible music taste. That's not my problem. It's not my fault. If I'd probably be better off if I liked more popular music. But at the same time, this person said that they had never heard of anyone that I mentioned besides the Beach Boys. To which I say, have you never heard of Bruce Springsteen or Creedence Clearwater Revival?
No, never heard of them.
Like those are
You and
pretty
your
big bands,
you
right?
and your indie acts. Next, you'll say you've like listened to something like Bob Dylan or something like that.
And I also said the Birds. Like I guess I can understand someone like not having heard of the Birds, but
Bruce Springsteen is a pretty big one.
he's pretty
C-
big.
CCR is a pretty big one.
CCR is pretty big. Yeah, I don't know. It's not my
CCR
fault.
was used in every movie soundtrack for like a 20-year span. Like
Oh
even
yeah.
if you don't listen to music, you listen to CCR.
Good Morning Vietnam, Forrest Gump. Yeah.
Forrest Gump was a big one.
Do you think how many
Remember the Titans,
Vietnam
maybe?
movies are there that don't have a CCR song in them?
Very few. Um, yeah, no, I wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, I played a lot of Wonder Years today. Mike
Ooh,
Kennedy is really an underrated drummer, and I think there should be more attention on people like that.
I missed the Wonder Years show because I went to Doughboys. Doughboys was fun. But it would have been cool to see the Wonder Years too.
Yeah, I've seen clips, and it's like I would have been fine going, but like the combination of going to Worcester, and actually coincidentally, like a Saturday night is harder than a weeknight these days because then you got
Right.
to get like a babysitter and
Yeah.
travel and all that. So it's fine. I've actually
I'll catch them on their next electric tour because this one is
absolutely,
acoustic.
and they can play in Boston, right? Because of your whole
Right.
yeah
Yep.
the things. But I have had passes to the Palladium for years now because I had Thrice tickets. It was a Vagrant Records festival of some sort, and Thrice got
Mm.
COVID and had to pull out, and so I was able to get credit for it's like $150 worth of tickets to the
Wow.
Palladium for like 2 years. Yeah, because we were going as a family, so it was a lot. And all they have there are metal bands with logos you can't read. Like, and people love that stuff. It's just like not for me. And it's I finally saw this Wonder Years show. I'm like, oh, I could use my tickets, and then I didn't go. So maybe in a couple of years I'll finally use those passes.
I am potentially going to one of those shows on Saturday. Obituaries playing with Terror and Spirit World and Nails. But it's also Memorial Day weekend, so I don't know. And it's a Saturday.
I like when it's just like you can't really read it, and then you zoom in and you still can't read it, and it's like Satan's butthole, and you're like,
I
nice.
I I think those logos are silly. The ones that like you legitimately cannot read.
Well, if you
It's
can
like
read it, I have no respect for your metalness. Like you're not metal if I can read your logo.
I think Sanguisabog is one that has
Yeah.
like a very, very,
Which,
very
but
difficult.
even if you can read it, you're like saying
You're like,
with the
dude,
Bob.
right? Oh yeah, Sanguisabog's logo is absolutely. It's so funny.
There's a lot.
It's
Actually, I'm on the I'm on the Palladium's website now. So the Metalcore Fest, Lorna Shore, Cannibal Corpse. There's a ton on there, but like if I can read your logo,
yeah.
I'm really not impressed by your whole existence.
I'm trying to add the Sanguisabog logo to the podcast, just so that people can see uh, how absolutely hilarious this is.
I'm looking at one right now, and I have no idea what it says. I want to see that band.
All right, I'm pulling it up right now. I'm going to add it to the show. There it is. There's Sanguisabog.
That's probably
it's so good.
that's probably the best. Wait, that is what I'm looking at. That is the same one I was looking at. They're playing the Hardcore
fun.
Metal and Hardcore
Yeah.
Festival.
Well, if you see that logo, you're about to see Sanguisabog. All right, I think that's about it. We've gone longer than we thought we would. I got to put my daughter to bed. She goes to bed late.
Yeah, party animal.
She is a party animal.
But yeah, 9 wins, by the way. We can officially lock that in Pat's chat. 9 wins.
I feel good about that. I wasn't feeling great about 10.
Yeah, and even 9, it's like if they're 8, you can't get too pissed. I think 7 is like the bare minimum. I think we can agree on that.
I think that's fair. I mean, it's still a 3-win boost, but the schedule sucks. It's got a good head coach. They've got an improved head coach. Drake Maye should take another level. So, like, yeah, if they only win 6 games or 7 games, things went kind of poorly. But still, they are a team on the rebuild. I think that's the most fair way to say it.
I should have done it for clicks. Like, after Drake Maye's 4 interception practice, the win total's going down. Damn it! That should have been our headline.
Still
Next
could be.
time.
You're posting on. You're posting on the podcast.
Coincidentally.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I'll talk to you later. We'll talk to you guys again probably next week. I don't think anything pressing is going to happen in the next few days. So we're kind of on a 1-a-week schedule, and it'll probably be on Wednesday night after the next OTAs. So we'll talk to you then. Goodbye.